Hey friends, my name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. That was the hardest crash yet with the 2-inch rig, and it survived. It threw a propeller, but it survived that. Like, that was nose down, blasting into face first into metal. The tow hitch on the back of that, the neighbor's little donkey ass brodozer. And yeah, it's completely fine. Super impressive. Welcome to 5-Inch Friday. We are going to be throwing another ESC at the Razorback. This had an ESC in it that was acting a little bit funny. And then I had this T-Motor 55 amp from Joshua that he took out of one of his rigs that it was acting funny at Rampage 2 years ago, I think, and it's blown up. Like, go figure. He took the ESC out because it was blown up. And for some reason, I took it from him and went like, nah, it'll be fine. And it was blown up. Like, I don't know. So yeah, we're gonna do it again. I'm probably not gonna get it all the way done, but I'll do a little bit of work on it. And then I would like to fly a few batteries. I have a bunch of 650s on the charger over here. And of course, this is a Q&A live stream, as they pretty much all are. So ask any questions you've got in the chat. Make sure you tag me, type CiottiFPV, and then ask your question in the chat. Notice was first, Matthew W. was next, Render, 70, Yannick, Uriel, Louis, Douglas, Striker, Northern Tier. Where is everybody? What's happening? Did I not post this? What's going on? I mean, I did just post it like 2 minutes ago. Could have given you guys a little bit more notice than that, but here we are. Alas, here we are. Striker says, hey, and I'm caught up on chat. Just like that. Let me start pulling this apart, and we will dive into some flight footage. Remind me later. And so, yeah, I flew a couple of batteries today, a few hours ago when it was pretty bright out. with both the 1.6 inch and 2 inch 04 TinyWhoops. And I just got done copying the footage over, so that's good there. This is good here. Eject and unplug. Cool. 1.6 inch rig had a very bent up propeller that I like jankily bent back down, and it seems to be pretty okay. I've been pretty impressed with how durable these are, but when it comes to getting, I am starting to see jello in the flight footage, which is not totally surprising with how hard I've been crashing these. And I haven't changed props yet. I mean, I had that one prop eject, so I had to replace that. But I am on the same set of propellers with both of these things. So beginning of the stream, you got to see the 2 inch footage. This is the 1.6 inch build. What's this about? Oh, I didn't delete the other files, so let's delete that. We can delete. Wait, what? Nope. Can delete this. I can delete this. And then here we go. All right, cool. So here's the 1.6 inch rig. This is not a fully charged battery. This is the end of the 450 mAh battery that I didn't fly all of the other day. And this is when it was freaking out because of the bent propeller. Which is, yeah, you can see the jello a little bit. That's me refusing to walk and go get it. This is me realizing that the propeller is bent and bending it back down. And then, oh, I guess I didn't fly it. Okay. I thought that I flew it around. I swear I flew it. I think I did fly it around. That's the rig. That VTX is starting to act a little funny. Here's me flying it from the previous day with the 450. Yeah, the 04 on the 1.6 inch prop builds is it has now done the thing where in a crash it loses connection with the goggles and won't reconnect until it's power cycled. And I swear it came back once, maybe twice, not recording. Just randomly stopped recording. I know that I flew it around a little bit today. But yeah, it looks like it stopped recording there. So, I don't know, man. I mean, it feels like these 04 lights are a lot more durable than the walk snail light already, but I don't know. It's hard to tell. They certainly have a lot of benefits over the walk snail light setup, that's for sure. And so I do think that they're the way to go. This is the battery was dangling off the bottom of the damn thing like a little dingly berry. I had to power cycle it. There should be a little bit more flying in this one. Render says it's early. It's true. Striker says, I know you don't fly 5-inch anymore, but are you considering picking up some SMC batteries? I don't even know what SMC batteries are. I have a shitload of 5-inch batteries, though, so I don't really need to buy any. I run very specific batteries. I run 160-gram 6S 1050 mAh batteries that I get like 4 or 5 minutes out of, and they keep my all-up weight down at like 605-ish grams. Pretty much nobody makes batteries that are that light. This is the 1.6-inch build with a lot of wind. Tons of wind on this, in this spot on this day. So this is when I was waiting for Florence to get out of talk therapy. What's up, Levster? Yannick says, keep digging into past live streams. Silly question came to me. Why not 702 1.5 millimeter shaft on 75 millimeter for the lightest rig? It's just not enough motor. The motor overheats. 702s are the exact right size for 1.2 inch props. If you put a 1.6 inch prop on it, it's just a little too heavy, and the motor kind of overheats. You lose response time. The motor overheats, and so it ends up giving you like worse performance and worse runtime if you fly it hard. Like if you were to build a long range TinyWhoop, that might be a good combo, but long range TinyWhooping is like the oxymoron of the century. This is again the 1.6 inch rig. I'm gonna play the 2 inch rig flight files after this so that you can see the difference in their ability to handle the wind. It's pretty impressive. The 2 inch rig's ability to handle the wind is super impressive. So much so that I've definitely decided that the Beta FPV canopy with the soft mounting that finally showed up, that is going to be going on the 1.6 inch build. Because it gets kicked around by the wind so much, it might as well have the soft mount canopy. And also the camera in that canopy is starting to move around a little bit, and so I got to kind of fix that. I'm just taking apart this glide here, which I've nicknamed the Razorback because it's all red and white. Well, it's not all red and white, but it's as red and white as I can make it. It's got the white FPV cycle, big ass 25mm motors. I got white Get FPV Lumineer arm LEDs, white electrical tape. There's a blue. This is a blue LED to light up this blue TPU, like the thrusters on the ships in the Expanse. And then it's got red standoffs, white. Is it the Nebula camera? I forget what that is. It's one of the old school DJI cameras. And then red TPU up front. The Razorback, yo. This rig, the other reason that I've nicknamed this rig the Razorback is it's got a 40-degree red, a red 40-degree up tilt GoPro mount. This is the rig that I built to chase outlaw dirt track sprint cars that go 100 miles an hour. And then that gig fell through, unfortunately, because it rained, and then apparently it never got rebooked, which is super annoying. Because, I mean, I did want to build a high-speed rig anyway, but, you know, I wouldn't have done all that work as quickly as I did it. But hey, it got done. The work got done. Here is the 2 inch rig at that same spot. Wait, that ain't it. Yeah, it should be it. What's happening? Here we go. 2 inch rig in the same wind at that same spot. Zach says, I'm playing with an app idea for YouTubers and would love to ask you some questions. What's the best way to reach out? CiottiFPV has all of my contact info on it. Lewis says, put 1002 24,000 kV motors on my Air 75 and I want to fix the tune. Will the filters still be okay? And can I tune on a janky frame part of guard cutout? Yeah, the worst, if you tune on a really bad like setup, that tune will work. That tune will work even better on a cleaner setup. So yeah, no problems with that. I'm not sure what you mean by will the filters still be okay. Like, what are you fixing about the tune? Mape says, what's the difference in capacitors, NHG versus PX? I've not heard of either one of those. The capacitors you want are the gold and black. I want to say that they're Sanyo. Where the hell's my little container full of capacitors? Here it is. The capacitors that everybody recommends look like this. gold and black like that. Some components ship with these green and gold ones. I don't have any real experience with them, though. So I don't know if these are... You want low ESR. From what I understand, as long as it's a low ESR capacitor, you're okay. A lot of components ship with these black and gray ones, like this. And they seem to be okay. Looks like they're made by Rubicon. But yeah, apparently these gold and black ones are really the ones to go with. Oh, hold on. I left that capacitor out. Wait a second. I thought I had a capacitor sitting out that I've been meaning to put away. I did! Look at me go! I leave stuff sit in the, Ah, shit. Sorry, guys. Here, watch this flight footage. Clicks away from the flight footage immediately. I put stuff on the forward part of the workbench to remind myself to put it away, and then I forget to put it away in the drawers, in the little containers where it belongs. It's a struggle, man. Keeping going on chat here. Lefster's in Vienna. Damn, dude. Striker says, I was out to buy a Mob 8 2S and it just went out of stock on the last website, which was Pyro. Now the price is $30 more expensive. Is there... is it an 04? Is it a Mob 8 04? I don't think they make that, so probably not. Let me ask a question that I pretty much know the answer to. I got all out of order on chat, and now I'm super confused. Omega Xenon says, just got my updated Air 65 race compared to the Freestyle. This puppy is zippy. Air 65 race. Yeah. The extra kV from those motors is definitely noticeable. When they sent me both prototypes, I was like, yeah, okay. The race is definitely the way to go. You can put... on the Freestyle, you can put more pitchy props on there to kind of make up the difference, like the Gemfan 1219S's, but higher kV motors are God. Lewis says, I was just wondering whether I had to fix the gyro filters as well, or would the Beta FPV stock one be fine? Yeah, I mean, with... Filters are more based on like the frame that's being run and just like the general health of the propellers and the motors. So you should not need to change the filtering unless you go like way higher on the words eluded him on the KV. Yeah, you'll be good. All right. Get this out of here. And Render says, what 5-inch frame and motor do you fly? Pretty much all glides, FPV cycle glides, the old school ones. And then I have a lot of different motors. T-Motor F40 Pro 4s. The most recent motor that I was super impressed with was an AMAX 20... the hell is it? And then I've got a set of big ass motors on the 5.5-inch rig back there. I think they're like 2507s. AMAX 2305.5 Superleggera. Really impressed by these motors. I wonder if this thing still flies. I think it does. It's an analog rig. Ugh. I think it's this one that blew up because I didn't put propellers back on it. So after I get this fixed, I'll work on that one. I want to. There's a Sloss uh, freestyle event in Alabama coming up in a couple of weekends, and I would love to try to go. I probably won't be able to, but I want to get a bunch of this shit. I've got like at least these two 5-inch rigs that are both down, and that's just stupid. I need to get them both running again. It's just dumb to have broken rigs sitting on the shelf. And so, yeah, if I have working 5-inch rigs and I happen to be free on that weekend, I will be able to go. If I have a bunch of broken rigs, I won't go. So, it's time. Matthew says, I was enjoying scrutinizing your organization seriously, although I just redid mine, so it's in front of mine. Have you ever done a bench/organization tour? I have. Typically, I'll do it when I'm a little bit more organized. I'm a mess right now. Yeah, I mean, just with like the state of this country, my mental health is a complete disaster right now, if I'm totally honest. Also, there was some scary stuff going on, like health wise, around here with Maggie. She actually just had surgery yesterday morning, and it all went well. And so that had been like really weighing on me, and I've been just super worried. Not something that I'm going to really get into any details about, but yeah, that was super, super, super scary. But everything turned out okay, and yeah, that's all that matters. So it's been a weird couple of weeks, but we got through it, and all's well that ends well. So, but yeah, scary stuff, and just watching the world burn from. Yeah. It's my current state of organization is pretty rough. As you'll see when I fly around, I've got a bunch of props all over the floor. McConnell Studios super 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 kindly sent me a big ass box of 3D print filament TPU and a ton of his old propellers. And so I took some time to get them all organized. One of the things I love about having like big chunks of open floor space is like I can just spread a bunch of shit out, and then it helps me to just sort of organize it. So I've got all these props spread out over there, and then what I'm doing is I'm making big bags of assortments of propellers for upcoming giveaways. So there'll be like a big old pack of props, like 5 or 6 or 7 different types of props in some of the upcoming 5-inch and 3-inch tier giveaways. So yeah. Hey, so right here's a question for you guys. At the moment, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do this, but I'm just sort of curious. At the moment, the tiers on my Patreon are 5, 10, and 20 a month. 5 a month for the TinyWhoop and Toothpick tier, 10 a month for the 3-inch micro brushless, 20 a month for the 5-inch tier. There's only one person on the 5-inch tier. I'm thinking about dropping the 5-inch tier down to 15 to try to encourage more people to jump on there. So like if you fly 5-inch and you want the chance of winning 5-inch stuff, you want to be on that tier. Would that encourage any of you? I have a feeling that everybody by this point only flies TinyWhoop that hangs out here, but would that encourage any of you to jump onto the 5-inch tier? I'm running out. I had it at $20 because I was giving away like pretty expensive stuff in that 5-inch tier. I've run out of a lot of the expensive stuff, so now the 5-inch tier giveaways are going to be a little bit less expensive stuff, and so it feels better to drop it down a little bit. But also, I maybe it would encourage more people to jump onto that tier. So I'm curious. Kmart FPV with a $5 super chat. He says, coffee on me. Thank you, brother. Levster with a £5 super chat. He says, healthcare. You got it, my friend. Where is it? There it is. I'm not going to do the conversion. I'm just going to do that. Thank you, brother. I meant to shower, but I didn't have time. So, I don't know what's going on here, but you guys aren't coming for the good looks. You're coming for the FPV content, so it's all good. Yannick says, glad the surgery went fine. Me too, man. Me too. Smoking Dog Cujo says, do you fly all the rigs on your wall? Not at once, individually. All the way over in the corner, this was a live broadcast 5.5-inch rig that I built that I never actually ended up using. This is the analog CiottiWhoop, which I used like a month ago. This is an analog, this is a digital, this is an analog, analog dead cat 5-inch rig, basically like a cinematic analog 5-inch rig. These two guys are the backup plans. If I'm going to a gig with digital 5-inch rigs, I will bring a set of analog goggles and these as backup. In January, when the I haven't had to use these in a while, but every once in a while I will. In January, when the digital Cinesplorer XT60 broke off, I just super quickly whipped this thing out with the analog goggles and flew the rest of the gig with it, and it was awesome. This CiottiWhoop is also ultra lightweight because it's analog and it's got taller ducts. It's more of like a slow speed CiottiWhoop. Over here, this is live broadcast 2.5-inch sub 250 rig, as is this. And then this is a wacky kind of rig. This is the Tooth Fairy 2. It's kind of like a backup CiottiWhoop, but it's also like a high-speed CiottiWhoop. It has these ridiculous carbon fiber guards on it. It's really, really fast. If I want a CiottiWhoop that hauls ass and doesn't get kicked around by the wind, this is the one. But I can also put the CiottiWhoop ducts onto it. It's an interesting kind of... It's a backup rig at heart, though. And then that is my very first 5-inch rig. That is the Bob Ruge FPV Cycle's very first frame, the Flow Style, that I keep up on the wall just sort of for posterity. It's still on... it's actually still on FR Sky, believe it or not. And it's on a 30x30 AIO, believe it or not, that I just got like super cheap. And yeah. And I actually flew it last year at one point, just for funsies. It's 4S as well. And it's analog. It's actually super fun because it's a rig that makes me appreciate everything else. It makes me appreciate digital VTX systems, ELRS, Crossfire, stuff like that, because it's on FR Sky. Like, you go behind a building that's right in front of you and it just fail safes. And it makes me appreciate 6S as well. So it's it's got all that nostalgia. And that's what's on the wall. In the cubes here, there's a shitload more stuff that I need to fly a lot more. But there's also a lot of like half-done builds in the cubes here. Let me get caught back up on chat. Hold on. Smy says, is there a 3D printed 04 canopy you can recommend? Nope. They all seem to break the VTXs. We'll get the Mobula 7 one once it's available, but I don't think it'll be available before April where I live. Yeah, I've not specifically heard of a 3D printed 04 canopy that's holding up. I mean, I haven't been paying super close attention to them as they've blown up, but yeah, I mean, what I'll say is you want the chunkiest 04 canopy that you can find if you're going to 3D print one. So, yeah, I don't know what that one is. Beta FPV does sell their vibration isolation one. Maybe you can get that sooner than later. But, yeah, the 04 canopy situation kind of sucks right now. unfortunately. But I wish I had a better answer for you, man. What's the deal? Get out. Get out of there. Where's that there it is. All right. Get these nuts off this ESC. That's what she said, of course. Kmart says, do you know of any issues with the HDO AIO5 having shit ELRS signal? I have a new flight controller. It's only getting me 50 feet of range before failsafe. Typically when that happens, it means that the antenna has either broken or broken off or... Yeah. So check the ELRS antenna. I'm not sure if that... I think the AIO5 just has a piece of wire. I don't think it has a little ceramic antenna. So, yeah, either the piece of wire fell off or something like that. I mean, it sounds like you just bought it, though. And so I would just kind of bail and just, like, send it back and be like, yo, you got to send me one of these that works, bro. Check your radio, though. Make sure it's not your module or your transmitter. If you have another ELRS rig, just fly that around really quick to make sure that all your builds aren't doing it, because that points to the transmitter being the problem. Kevin Sumner says €5 is currently $5.40. You're good. Wow, that exchange rate. Wow. I remember not too long ago that 5 pounds would be like $10. Boy, oh boy. We have done a number on the dollar, and it's not a good number. This was just... There it is. We're fine. I can't believe I have to put another ESC into this thing. This is goddamn ridiculous. You're not missing anything. I'm just like unplugging shit. When I start to do the fun stuff, I'll go over to the workbench, I promise. But right now I'm unplugging the ESC to flight controller cable. Render says, I fly 5-inch, but I'm tight budget right now with the DJI Switch. It is all good, brother. Omega Xenon says, are you going to test out the new HD0 Box Pro goggles? They seem pretty promising. Almost certainly not. They're not going to send them to me for free, and I pretty much never fly HD0, so I can't justify spending any money on HD0, really, you know. But I'm sure lots of other bigger channels will get them and test the hell out of them. You know, I also, like, I'm not the goggle guy. I use, like, older, cheaper goggles. And so, yeah, it's not a very high priority for me to test, like, the newest, fanciest goggles. For me, you get a pair of goggles that are comfortable on your face, that are as cheap as possible, and you spit all over your desk. And away you go, is what I meant to say. It's, this trend of, like, selling perfectly good goggles to get the newest goggles that are 6 months more current. I'm just like, no, don't do that. Just find ones that work and stick with them. Same thing like with transmitters. You know, like a new transmitter is not going to help you out at all unless your current one is, like, uncomfortable in your hands or something like that. So yeah, the constant buy new stuff is there's other stuff that you can spend your money on that'll you'll get much more enjoyment out of. Yannick says, can you start charging some batteries and fly a loved TinyWhoop rig? You've not shown enough love recently. I've got 6 batteries on the charger. I didn't have a plan for what to fly tonight. Is there one that I haven't showed any love to? Is the question. They're all 260 mAh batteries. What's this guy? This is the Race Champion Edition. We'll do... We'll do a little comparison. We'll do the CO3 camera versus the Runcam Nano 3. So that's the Race Champion Edition. And then this is the 40,000 kV. All right, so the Race Champion Edition makes lots of power. And then this is the 40,000 kV full tilt Mobula 6 2024. Both very lightweight, both make mega power. So yeah, that'll be an interesting comparison between these two. So that's what we'll fly tonight. How's that sound? All right. All right. Ooh, Moss1 says, check out General Nonsense. We printed some stickers that you would like. Where's OBS at? Ha, nice. I feel like I've seen that before. I don't know how or where, but I feel like I've seen that before. That's a good one. We need more of that energy, man. Holy shit. What a goddamn disaster. What else is happening in chat? Render says, I had an AIO 5 that had the ELRS issue. HDO RMA'd it. HD0 RMA'd it. Yeah, so there you go. It sounds like it's going to have to go back. Sorry, dude. That sucks. Tater Bob says, I'm looking to build a 3-inch 4S analog. What frame do you recommend? Oh boy, there are not a lot of 3-inch frames at the moment. Really, the only one that I have any sort of confidence level in is the Quadmula Siren F3. But boy, it was out of stock forever. Let's see if it... And then it came back in stock, and I snagged one. Okay, so the regular one is sold out, but it looks like the split is in stock. So for the love of God, get this while you can. And then, yeah, for analog, you're going to do, like, this SMA option. You're probably going to... Don't run an SMA antenna, though. That's way too heavy. Just get your own 3D printed antenna mount. And... yeah, get you some arm guards to protect the carbon on the front arms. You don't really need the front bumper. You don't really need the action cam mount. Get you some additional arms. And away you shall go. Yeah, this is a... Admittedly, this is more of a digital frame. It's got this big rear section with a 20x20 mount. To mount the giant digital VTXs back there. As an analog build, it doesn't really make sense to have so much of a tail section here, but the days of 3-inch analog builds are just gone, and like every single frame is set up for digital at this point. So, and this is one of the lighter weight, if not the lightest weight 3-inch frames. So this is really like the best choice at the moment, I think. So yeah, get it while you still can, because, boy, they go out of stock and they kind of stay out of stock. They make good stuff, though. I got to put more time on my... I have that exact Siren F3 all built up with walk snail, actually, and I need to put more... time on it. I just don't... I don't fly very much. Other than, I test so much TinyWhoops stuff that it keeps me super busy. Smoking Dog Cujo says, have you seen the new TBS Lucid 1-2S AIO? I have, there's something that I don't like about it. I think it's crossfire, right? That's a stupid thing to do. Yeah, it's crossfire. That's it's useless. You want ELRS. ELRS is significantly lower latency, and that really does matter with TinyWhoops. And like, I don't know, man. TBS electronics always have wacky shit too. Like their electronics always either like lock you into their ecosystem in some super frustrating way, or like there's something else that's just obnoxious about them. I tend to really stay away from their stuff. It doesn't look like there's a VTX on board, which is just insane. So it has an OSD chip, but it doesn't have a So I mean, I guess if you don't want to go to ELRS and you want to do Crossfire, this is the way to go. But it's well worth it to go to ELRS. It's just a much newer, much better protocol than Crossfire. Crossfire is 10 plus years old, and it's feeling its age for sure. Yannick says, thanks for doing the comparison. Did my own for today's pack, the Razorback 3.1 and the tank build with Nano 3. Oh boy, are you correct about the OSD issue on Newbie Drone. Yeah, it's super annoying. It's a shame, too. I love Newbie Drone as a company. They have some great guys working over there. But, yeah, they've... their own OSG... using their own OSD chip is rough. That is very tough. All right. Soldering iron has warmed up. I've got flux on the pads over here. Move stuff forward. Luckily, I have just enough room in front of the desk here. Man, I need to clean this up. This is a hot goddamn mess that I have on the desk over here for no good reason. I need to clean this up. Beta FPV C01, that can go in the thing. There's the M1.2x12s. I thought I lost those. All right, that's a little bit better. I made a little bit of room. Piece of foam just hanging out. What are you doing? Okay, let's get these motor plugs removed. So soldering iron comes out of the little station. Soldering iron comes out of the station and gets cleaned immediately. You do not clean it when you're putting it away. You actually want to leave solder on the tip of the iron to prevent the tip of the iron from oxidizing. So always put the soldering iron away dirty. But then when you take it out, you want to clean it right away. And then be as quick as you can to get over to the wires, because every second after you've cleaned it, it starts to oxidize. And so I've got flux on these joints. These are big old 5-inch motor wires, so you're going to be a little bit patient with them. This ESC is probably blown up, so I don't have to be super careful. But it could be the flight controller. Like, never completely assume that it's one thing, not the other. So I'm not going to, like, specifically destroy this ESC, but it's almost certainly the issue here. So it's probably junk, but still, I'll be a little bit careful here. Using tweezers to remove these so I don't burn myself. Soldering iron is at 700 degrees Fahrenheit. I find that to be a good sort of middle ground where on little tiny wires, as long as I do the work quickly, it's good. And then on bigger wires like this, I just have to be a little bit patient. When I take these wires off, so when I install these wires onto an ESC, I'll push down a little bit with the tip of the soldering iron to flatten the wire out on the pad. when I take the wires back off, I like to straighten them back up and kind of round them back out. So that's what you see me doing here. I'm just going on the left of the wire. So like basically, that's me putting the iron away without cleaning it. So basically the wires are like this, and then I push down to flatten them out on the pad. And so when I remove them, I'm then taking the tip of the soldering iron and I'm pushing a little bit, and then I'm pushing a little bit. And that bundles it up again so that you can then put it back on the fresh pad and then flatten it back out. This makes it easier on you in terms of like them bridging from one to the other. I also like to solder the wires at like a 45-degree angle here so that when sticks come down the side of the quad, they don't rip the wires off. This is a nice way of tucking the wires in. It also lets you run the wires a little bit shorter. Nice clean setup. The other way to protect them is to run them inwards, but when you run them inwards, there's a lot of extra wire, and it can cause electrical noise nonsense. So I typically do, I almost never do that anymore. I'm going to move the work around to me. Never move yourself around the work. Always move the work to you. And so this gives me like a nice 90-degree angle on these pads. The smoke that you see is the flux burning off. I put flux paste on all these pads a little bit ago. And that's me straightening the wire back out. Always give the wire a second to cool down here before you let it go so you're not flinging solder balls all over the place. All right. Straighten it out. Straighten it out. There we go. And last one. And then on the outsides, I like to run them 90 degrees. You've got plenty of room to do that with them. And then, again, I'm just going to come down here, straighten it out. Whoop. There we go. Let me just take a quick look at that last one. Yeah, no. Last one got a little janky. I'm actually going to put the nerd goggles on for this. I accidentally hit the wires, and a couple of the strands of wire went the wrong direction. And then when I fixed them, I missed one little strand. So let me just get that taken care of. Ooh, that looks terrible. Hold on. I'm actually going to retin this wire because it's a hot mess right now. So I'm just going to put a little bit of solder on the tip of the iron here. All right, nice little blob there. And then I'm going to grab the wire. And then I'm just going to use this little blob of solder here to retin it. And I'm just going to like push on the wire and pull outwards. And that motion will straighten the individual strands out. If you really screw that up, you'll want to replace the wire. When in doubt, replace the wire. These wires take a hell of a beating anyway because they're on the they're getting hit by sticks and shit when you crash through trees. And so if you have any hesitation here, just replace the wire. I actually might. No, that's okay. That wasn't I thought that might have been a strand of wire that wouldn't straighten out. But it was just a little blob of solder. Yeah, no, we're good. They straightened back out. All right, so that's one side. Hop over here to the other side, which is going to be a little bit more difficult, but we've got the battery lead in the way. So I'm going to push the ESC down a little bit, and then I just put the battery lead on the other side of this standoff here just to kind of keep it out of the way. BMF Spade says, know anything about FETTech Alpha G4 35 amp and not activating? I don't know anything, man. The FETTech stuff, the KISS stuff, it always seems like it's way more problems than it's worth. The knowledge base with that stuff is super small. Like, there's not many people running it. Like, I know it's supposed to be simpler, but because of the fact that not many people use it, there's not much of a knowledge base. So it ends up a lot of times not being any simpler and being a lot more difficult. That was my experience with KISS way back when. Um, I don't know. It seems like KISS has always been like the cool thing to do. But then like every single time anybody tests it against Betaflight whoops the shit out of it. So like, you know, if you want your stuff to fly good, it's Betaflight. If you want to feel like one of the cool kids, you know, maybe try the FetTech KISS stuff, but don't expect it to fly any better. Like the reason to go with the KISS stuff is that you want to be in a closed ecosystem. Like it's the same reason that you buy Apple stuff. You don't want to rely on 14 different manufacturers to make something for some open source jibbo jabbo. You want admittedly expensive but really nice quality electronics that are like coming from basically the same place that is making the software. And there's something to be said for that, for sure. It's just that Betaflight has had such a head start, and it just flies unbelievable. But, you know, there is a lot of psychology to flying. And so, like, if running the same stuff that Steel runs makes you feel better when you fly, then you may very well fly better. And so, yeah, I mean, we can't argue with psychology. It's real. And in the end, you should fly what you want to fly, my friends. I don't regret the time and effort and money that I spent on the KISS experiment that I did many years ago. If nothing else, it showed me how astoundingly good Betaflight was, especially at handling banged up motors and props. And it gave me a real appreciation for Betaflight. And that's valuable. That is a valuable experience to kind of go through. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But the difficulty that I had with it is that I thought it would make me fly better. Like, I really did. And I was super disappointed when it was the opposite of that. And when, like, I felt like all I did was change propellers, just, like, after every other crash. And that got really old really fast. And then I had to start changing motors pretty frequently, too. So, yeah, I went into it with, like, unrealistic expectations, and that was my own fault. So, it's a super interesting experience to go through, and it'll make you appreciate a lot of things about Betaflight, which is kind of cool. The big thing that it made me appreciate with Betaflight, I think, other than its ability to handle banged up motors and props, is the knowledge base, is like how nice it is that everybody flies Betaflight and you can get like actual answers to questions. With KISS, it would be like if you could find someone that maybe had something close to an answer, the answer that you would get would be like, well, try this, maybe it'll work. There was never any solid info. It was always just like, yeah, I don't know what that is, but like, I don't know, maybe try this, and it might be okay. And that just drove me insane. It just felt super like half-baked and weird. I don't know. But you do you, my friends. All right, you guys might not be able to see because my hand is in the way, but I'm just removing the last 3 motor wires. These are white motor wires that came with these FPV Cycle 25mm motors. I think these are 2506s. I did that motor size, A, because they're white, if I'm totally honest, but B, because this was built for high speed and for hanging on the throttle, hanging on high throttle. And so a 25mm wide motor is going to stay nice and cool. And if you're going to be running with, you know, 50, 60% throttle to go 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, constant static, you're going to need the motors to run a little bit cooler. A 2306, a 2207, those will go 80, 90 miles an hour, but they won't sustain that. They're designed to like do that in little bursts. And so, yeah, if you want to cruise at a higher speed, you've got to go with a bigger motor. Especially if you go with a bigger propeller, right? If you're going to go up to like a 6 or a 7-inch prop, well, now you really have to go to a bigger motor. On this rig, I chose to stay with a 5-inch prop and run a propeller that has a lot of pitch, which sacrifices some efficiency, but it actually gives you better flight characteristics. I wanted this to be like also a really high speed full tilt freestyle rig, and I've never had an ESC on here that's really behaved. One of the things I really want to do with this rig is take it out to like a big tree spot and just hurl this thing across across like a big open space. I think it'll be really fun for that with the 40-degree up tilt and then the big old motors. The propellers for this are like really pitchy props, so that it basically like racing props or even like the giant 51, 52 propellers, but I think they're even I think those are a little bit too heavy of a prop for this size motor. But yeah, I would love to actually fly this thing. It's always had like weird issues, and so like every time I've ever gone to fly it, it's been like, I can't quite push it full tilt. Can only really like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, this ESC is full on broken. The previous ESC, it did work, but it was acting kind of funny, so I couldn't like fly it super hard. I had to just like hammer it and be like, oh wow, it really does boogie and it goes fast. But then I would have to get off of it and chill, because I think it would. I think like the ESC was like a FET was weak and it was kind of overheating and it would like drop an arm. I don't know. It just wasn't quite right. And like with something built to go really fast like this, it's got to be all the way right. Like the whole point is to just sit on the throttle and just rail. And if the ESC is acting funny, you know, you're never going to be able to do that. So this is a big old 24 gauge wire, I want to say. And then there's two other wires on this same pad. This is the positive pad. There's the huge puff of smoke from the flux paste that I put on there. So just being patient to let the heat kind of get in there. Now I'm going to take one of the little 30 gauge wires off that goes to the LED, and then the other wire here that goes to the capacitor took itself off. I'm going to flatten the wires out real quick here. All right, that's looking fine. There's still a bunch of heat in this pad, so I'm going to come right back onto the pad. The wire that goes to the LED just reconnected itself. And there we go. And now we've got the whole pad flowing. Gently remove the battery lead. I am going to reuse this. And there we go. Got like one little stray wire here on the bottom. I'm just going to remove that, and I am going to flatten out this pad, this wire. So on the side, and then on the side. Sorry, not flatten out. I'm going to round it out. And now I've got this annoying little piece of wire here that won't come off, and there we go. Got it. And just be patient, give it a second to cool down so that you're not throwing solder balls all over the place. This ESC might be okay, but I really doubt it. I will know once I put the other ESC on and see if it still has the problem that it has. And it's a pretty serious problem. It just basically doesn't fly right now. Like, one motor just shits itself as soon as you put any power to it. Like, even just enough power to Like it'll just barely hover, but then beyond that, it just one of the motors drops out and it falls to the ground and dies a slow, painful death. Flux paste on the ground pad. Now you got to be really patient on the ground pad because there's a big old layer of copper inside the ESC that's connected to the ground pad. So get the flux on there, get the tip of the soldering iron down, and be nice and patient. Off comes the wire that goes to the capacitor. There's the fucking Canon camera shitting its pants. Just fixing the wire here that goes to the capacitor. There we go. Okay. Fix the wire that goes to the LED as well while I'm here. There we go. And then this ESC is now free. And hot as hell. Let's get this ground battery lead off of here. Still a bunch of heat in the board, so it won't take as long. Just rolling the soldering iron back a little bit, back and forth a little bit as the solder melts, just to spread the heat around, and push down a little bit to really transfer that heat into it. Any second now, it should free up, and we can pop it off. You want to push this, you want to use the thick part of the tip of the soldering iron. Man, this thing is just sucking all the heat away. Come on, buddy. There it goes. All right. And now let's round this wire back out in the same way. Don't do this right above the ESC. I like to use the edge of the little thing of electronic goop to push on these wires. Oh, shit. Hey, get out of here. Come on. All right, hold on. So the tip of the soldering iron is completely dry, so it's not transferring the heat. Easy solution to that is just to tin it a little bit. If you have a tiny little blob of solder on the tip of the soldering iron, when you bring it down against the wire, that blob of liquid solder is going to transfer the heat a lot faster because it's going to like wrap around the wire. If the tip of the soldering iron is completely dry, you've just got like this tiny little contact patch, right? Like if the tip of the soldering iron is dry, you're doing that. So you have this tiny little contact patch. Whereas like if you have a blob of solder here on the tip of the iron, when you touch it like that, it's going to wrap around, that blob of solder is going to wrap around, and that's going to transfer that heat a lot quicker, a lot to the work that you're doing. And so yeah, this looks pretty good. If you're going to reuse a battery lead like this, just make sure you take a look at it and make sure there's not like a ton of strands of wire that have broken off. This looks pretty good, so we can reuse this. When in doubt, don't reuse it though. Use a fresh set of wires. So yeah, this is probably bad. I'm pretty sure it's bad. I'm gonna take the grommets out of it. I'm so sure that it's bad that I'm gonna pull these grommets out of it. All right. There we go. Come on, get out of there. Cool. 3. This is how I remove grommets. I use these, grab it on the corner here, grip it, push through, and then on the bottom, the most of the work I want to do on the bottom with my finger. I try not, you got to be really gentle with these grommets. It's super easy to tear them, and it's really hard to see if they've torn. So try to use your fingers and your fingernails as much as you possibly can. This is going to go into a little bag that I'm going to mark. This is kind of important. Like, don't expect that you're going to remember what the hell's going on with this. Put it in a little bag and write on the bag what is going on. 1 channel likely bad drops arm at anything more than hover. There you go. If it takes me 2 weeks to fully get this thing back together, now I know what the hell's going on with this ESC. You know what I mean? This is a T-Motor F55 amp Pro. But again, this is an ESC that Joshua Bardwell pulled off of one of his 5-inch rigs at Rampage that he thought was bad, but he wasn't totally sure it was bad. And I just couldn't stand to let it... It's like a $60 ESC. I couldn't stand to let it go to waste. So I said, yo, I'll take it if you're just going to throw it away. He's like, yeah, for sure. I was literally going to throw it away. I was like, cool. I just happen to have another one of these that's absolutely brand new. So this should be completely fine. I've been meaning to use one of these ESCs for a while, actually. But none of my old school Acon 35 amps will die. So this is kind of great. These T-Motor ESCs, I'm 99.9% sure, are made by Acon. Comes with a big old beefy set of 12 AWG wires. That's super overkill. Well, I mean, I am running the shit out of this thing. Oh, these are 14 that I had on it, so that's fine. It's not worth it going to 12 from 14. Okay, so this froze, right? Yeah, of course it did. Oh, it froze because YouTube shit the bed. Way to go, YouTube. Way to be a complete goddamn loser. Hold on. So God only knows how much chat that I just lost. Top chat to live chat. It looks like... No, we're good. I didn't lose any of the chat. Let's get this fixed, though. Get that going here. I did a little bit more research while I was waiting for Maggie to wake up from anesthesia. And still loads and loads and loads of people having this problem. It is not just me. Canon is just not making software that works on the newest version of Apple's operating system. CiottiFPV says his F3 has taken a beating, only broke a few arms, and the top plate is taking most of the abuse so far. 1804 4S, very solid 3 to 3.5 inch frame for me. Are you still running the 3.5 inch arms on it? Oh, I can actually point this down a little bit. Why is everything crooked? Why is this camera always crooked? Oh, fart. I didn't mean to do that. That's all right, though. Uriel said, oh God, I'm not going to say that. BMF Spade says, is that a source one? No, but what's that you're referring to? What's that you're referring to? Mutterson says, I found sometimes dropping a little fresh solder on there makes it conduct into the pad a little bit better. Yeah, because the fresh solder has flux in it. The core of solder has flux. So that's why you're having that experience. Metal also says, one more with XT60 leads, if you got to bend or move them, bend them to shape before applying solder, because once it wicks into the leads, they become pretty much unbendable. Yeah, very true. Very, very true. I try to run them directly straight out the side. I'll show you in a second. CMOK says, yeah, still working through them, but I'm building a 3-inch version soon. Very cool. Uriel says, you did not behave when she was under. Good job. I was out in the waiting room. I wasn't in there with her. I'm tempted to switch these grommets over to these fancy red ones, but I'm not gonna. That's a bit much. I'm pretty insane, but I'm not that insane. Oh, I should have written that on this bag. Well. So I got a bunch of extra wires that I don't need because I have the I have it all wired up. I'm replacing one ESC with the same one. Comes with a little capacitor, but I've actually already got a capacitor on there, a much bigger one, 1000 UF. So first thing I'll do is tin all of the pads on this guy, and you know what? I'll just do it directly on the. One of the things I like about this silicone work mat is it's nice and grippy, but also it's heat resistant. So I can just leave this right down and I won't melt down to it or anything like that. And so let's tin these pads. I got a little tiny piece of solder left here. We'll use this real quick. So the first thing I do when I'm tinning pads is put a bunch of flux on them, but actually the first thing I'm going to do is put the nerd goggles on, because no matter what kind of work you're doing in FPV, these are going to make you see a lot better, and that makes the quality of your work a lot better, I promise you. You need to get a set of these if you're over the age of 21, or if you just don't have like better than 20 by 20/20 vision. I might still have 20/20 vision, and I still use these nerd goggles. It just makes the quality of my work way better every single time because I can see what I'm doing. Soldering iron out of the little stand, clean it off immediately. And away we go. I'm going to put the soldering iron as flat as I can on the table here to get the maximum contact patch into the flux, transferring the heat, adding a little bit of solder, use the tip of the iron to spread it around, add a little bit more, and we're good to go. Next pad. This will probably not be enough for all 6 of these pads, but we'll see. These pads have holes drilled in them. That's going to wick the solder down and away as I add a little bit more of it. That's okay. The legs for the FETs are actually pretty close to these pads, so I'm just being careful. Last little ridiculous bit of solder. Just going to put it on there and let go of it, and the heat will actually pull the solder in. If you didn't know, solder travels towards heat. It's one of the really cool aspects of it. Getting a little bit of flux down on the table, on the work mat, but that's okay. All right, let me get some fresh solder off the spool here. I have the spool sitting like right back here, and so I can just grab it and pull, and then I just use the tip of the soldering iron to cut it. And then what I like to do is take a screwdriver, take the solder, and just wrap it around. And you can make yourself a little self-standing bit of solder here that also has a little handle on it. So you just do that. Wrap it around, push it together, bunch it up like this. And now it'll stand up on its own. So you can take your soldering iron and just come down and tin the tip of your soldering iron, or you've got a little handle and you can use it to add solder. And that's what I'm going to do, because I need to put a little bit more solder on that pad. I could probably get away with not cleaning it, but might as well clean it. It oxidizes the second that you stop cleaning it. So again, getting the soldering iron flat. What I'm actually getting a little bit annoyed with is when I push down on these pads, the ESC kind of tilts. The bottom of the ESC is not completely flat. A little bit annoying. Not the end of the world, though. I might use the OmniFixo after this, though. We'll see. As you put more... So all of these pads are connected on one one big layer in the ESC. And so as you work through these pads, the flux that you put on some of the other pads is going to just like melt. That's okay. What I'm doing now is I'm just making sure that the entire pad is covered in solder. A couple of the pads, there were little gaps up in the corners, so I'm just kind of pushing the liquid solder around a little bit to get it all the way on the pad. There we go. That's looking good. So now I'll take a look at the bottom, and yeah, there's holes drilled through these pads, and so some of the solder has gone through to the bottom there. That's totally fine. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. So now we'll do the other side. This guy is now hot. Now's a great time to go get a drink of water, or maybe wipe the flux off of your work surface here. Easiest way to do that is with a little bit of rubbing alcohol. I've got a super cool little dispenser here. This is made by Menda, M-E-N-D-A. And you just fill it up with whatever liquid you want, and then you just push down on the top. The whole top goes up and down, and it pumps the liquid up. There you go, see it? So it pumps the liquid up for you. Put some on your little Q-tip, and now you're good. Flip it shut. This thing is awesome. You can get these on Amazon super cheap. Use my Amazon affiliate link. Hey, CiottiFPV.com has a million ways you guys can support me. If you support me, I'll keep doing this full time. What do you say? And there we go. Work mat is clean. Clean life. Clean wife. Wait. What? Might as well clean these pads a little bit. I prefer to do this with a toothbrush here, but, you know, since I have the Q-tip, might as well. I don't usually clean the pads like that. We break stuff so often that it doesn't really... So flux does have like a little bit of acid in it. So like best practices are going to be to come back through when you're done soldering and clean everything. But we're not sending these to the moon. We're not, you know, we're going to break these things in a year or two. So it doesn't really matter all that much. Clean and tidy. All right. Morton Upshot says, late to the stream. Just heard you say Maggie in anesthesia. Hope she's doing good and recovering quickly. Yep, she is indeed. The last couple of weeks have been scary, but it's all good. Kelvin says, ran my 6 batteries today. Sick as hell, doped up on Dayquil. Made it hard to fly, but I have to keep practicing till I can pull off the railgun move. Very cool. Very cool, my friend. All right. A little bit of flux paste on each one of the pads. And away we go. Let's do it on the OmniFixo. Just to show how awesome this thing is. Clamp it. Clamp it. And then I love to do a third one. A third clamp will keep it... Like when you just have it double clamped like this, if you push on it, it's going to move away a little bit. It's not that bad, but it'll still move a little bit. As soon as you do a third clamp, it's not going anywhere. It's really, really cool. You can also use the third clamp. You can clamp to a clamp. You can use the third one to clamp to one of the other ones. You're just triangulating it, and that'll kind of do the same thing. Boy, is the OmniFixo magic. It's just so good. All right, so now we're elevated a little bit. It's going to move around a little bit less. Soldering iron out of the stand into the brass steel wool shit. All right, tip of the iron's nice and clean. Away we go. Getting the tip of the iron as flat as I can on the pad to transfer the heat as quick as possible, and then pushing the solder in kind of at an angle, and then you can just use the tip of the iron to spread it around so it covers the entire pad. The wires that I'm going to be connecting to these pads are already tinned, so I don't need to add tons of solder. I don't need like a big blob of solder on any of these pads. I just need a little bit. I'm mainly just doing this to cover the pads all the way up. Camo Studio. Let's get a little bit of manual focus going. There you guys go. All right. Last three. Iron nice and flat on the pad. The tip of the iron is pretty disgusting right now, so let's clean it. There we go. All right, nice and flat on the pad. There's not much of the solder paste left, but that's okay. You can see the solder is not sticking to the pad. It's because there's not much of that paste left. And so now I'm just going to push it around so that the whole pad gets covered. Now that the tip of the soldering iron has a little bit of solder on it, it'll transfer heat quicker. That is a tinned soldering iron tip. Last one, nice and flat. There you go. That's it, my friends. Little bit of solder there. Now you don't have to try to add solder while you're also holding the wire, which is kind of impossible because you don't have three hands. These are the battery lead pads. These are going to suck up a bunch of solder. A little bit of flux on there. The flux is turning from paste to liquid right away because there's a bunch of heat in this thing already. Big puff of smoke. That's that flux vaporizing. Oh, and I still have that on manual focus. That went pretty fast, though. There you go. Doing my best to kind of put this in a spot where I can show you guys. Soldering iron nice and flat. That was actually the ground pad on the left there. And it went super fast. Which just basically means that I've got a shitload of heat tied up in this thing already. The very front of the pad was not fully covered. And so I just really quickly reworked it. You want to flow the entire pad like that. If you're going to add to just a corner, make sure that you flow the whole pad. You don't want to rework a corner and then have it... you want it all to cool at the same time. Otherwise, you're going to have a cold solder joint. So there we go. That is fully tinned and ready to go back into the quad. Let me get this camera back onto autofocus. Quit Camo Studio. W. Marcus says, when I pull my soldering iron away, the solder seems to drag and make a spike of solder. Do you think my iron isn't hot enough? Great question, W. Marcus. Hold on. Do I have something where I can show that behavior? Basically, what's happening there is that the solder is traveling towards the heat. Your soldering iron is hotter than what you're working on. And what that means is that you haven't pushed enough heat into what you're working on. And usually that means you didn't use enough flux. If you use a nice blob of flux and you get the soldering iron down flat on the pad, if this is the pad, you want to put the soldering iron down flat on there. You don't want to have it up like this. If it's up like this, it's not going to transfer heat very well. If you flatten the soldering iron, the tip of the soldering iron out as much as you can on the pad or on the wire, it's going to transfer the heat to the work. And then when you pull the tip away, the work will be just as hot as the tip of the soldering iron, so the solder won't want to come with the soldering iron. So essentially what's happened is you didn't use enough flux, or you were on the pad for too long and all of the flux burned off. And so add more flux, get yourself a syringe of flux paste, use a nice blob of it on there, get onto the pad, let the heat transfer, get the work done, and then hopefully there's still smoke coming off when you remove the soldering iron, and then the tip of the soldering iron will be at the same temperature as the work. If you sit on this pad for too long, come off of it, give it a second to cool down, hit it with some more flux, come back in and do it again. Reflow it, it's called. Do the work again so that the work itself is as hot as the tip of the soldering iron, and then you won't be dragging it around and making a Hershey Kiss out of those pads. That's a super common thing. Everything okay? Something just smashed upstairs. Yeah, that's a super common problem. It's not the end of the world. It just looks terrible. To get tight little flat balls of solder here, right? That has obviously not happened on any of these, and it's because these pads were all the same temperature as the iron. So there was no reason for the solder to try to chase the iron. One of the ways, if you're really having a hard time with that, one of the things you can do is, instead of removing the tip of the soldering iron up like this, move it out to the side and like slide it off the pad. That can kind of help, but the real solution is to get enough temperature into the work. Has nothing to do with how hot the tip of your soldering iron is. It has to do with how hot the pads or the wires that you're working on are. You gotta get more heat into the work. It takes some time. Soldering is not like it's not something that you just figure out right away and you're awesome at it. It takes some trial and error. You're gonna screw a bunch of stuff up. This is how I like to solder the motor leads on. I'm only gonna solder the ground on because the positive kind of covers it up. So what I do is I solder the ground on here, and then I'm going to put this thing into the quad, and I have two wires that I need to piggyback onto this ground pad. So this is the first little bit of work that I'm going to do. I'm going to put a little bit of flux on the pad, and then I'm going to put a little bit of flux on the wire itself. These are great big wires, and so you want to get the heat transferred as quickly as possible to prevent Hershey Kisses. And so now I want this connector to be just right. So I'm going to hold the connector up in the same orientation that I want it to be. It sits under a battery strap up here. And so hold this, get this positive lead out of the way. I don't want this like twisted in a weird way. I want this to be exactly as it's going to sit on the quad itself. So nice and vertical. Get this into position. Move the work so it's comfortable. And we've got a lot of flux. I am going to clean the tip of the soldering iron though, because it is disgusting. Alright, away we go. Big puff of smoke from the flux. Again, tip of the soldering iron as flat as I can. And I'm going to push the soldering iron forward as much as I can as well to get the thicker part of the soldering iron against the wire. Alright, and so it's not transferring heat. The easiest way to do that is to just pick up a little bit of solder and tin the tip of the soldering iron. We've got smoke, so we've got flux burning off. And now that's going to transfer heat much faster. Sometimes you can get enough flux on there where you don't have to do that, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. Pushing down a little bit to flatten this out. Plenty of temperature in the work. Pretty good. I was on that pad a little too long. Stay nice and still to give it a chance to cool. Don't talk like I am. And I'm actually gonna redo that because it's well. I'm gonna, I'm not gonna redo it because I'm gonna have to reflow this joint um, to put those other two wires on it. But normally I would reflow it just because it got a little ugly on the side here. I was on the pad a little bit too long, but you can kind of see it's just what you're looking for is the roundness and the smoothness. You don't want any like gnarly, craggy shit going on. You want it to be nice and round and nice and smooth. Um, if there is a little bit of an angle on here, right there, which I don't love, but again, I'm gonna have to reflow this to piggyback the two extra wires. One of the wires is going to an LED, the other wire is going to the capacitor. So when I reflow this, I'll be quicker to get on and off the pad, and this'll all be completely rounded out. This would be totally fine. There's nothing wrong with this, but it only takes a second to kind of redo it. So yeah, don't rework it unless you absolutely have to. Don't yeah, don't just rework for the sake of reworking. Have a reason to do it. As much as I want to just like fix that now, it makes no sense because I'm gonna have to hit it again with these two wires. It is 8:35. Let's fly a couple of batteries. Now's where it gets like really kind of hairy and finicky, and to be totally honest, it just annoys the hell out of me to talk through it while I've got all these goddamn wires. And so I'm just going to do this on my time. It's just more of what you just saw. Soldering is a whole bunch of fundamentals. If you do those fundamentals every single time, you will get better at soldering. If you skip the fundamentals and you don't use flux or you're being impatient, you're not going to get better. Like not only do the fundamentals make it a lot easier, but you learn when you're actually doing those things because the solder flows properly and the correct things happen. You can't really rush soldering. It ends up giving you shit quality work that falls out of the sky and explodes, and it's not the way to do it. If you're doing like a field repair, that's one thing. But if you're working at the bench, do it right. Get yourself a syringe of flux. This is one of the best things I've ever bought in terms of flux because it stays exactly where you put it, right? The little syringe tip puts it exactly in the right spot, and then it's paste, so it stays there. The nerd goggles are amazing. Just search for like magnified goggles on Amazon. These are the ones that I really like. They've got a spot for batteries in here for this stupid little LED. Don't do that. They're too heavy with the batteries in them. Run them without the batteries and they're comfy. They'll come with a bunch of lenses. Use the highest magnification lens. You also want to have a 5x loop, L-O-U-P-E. The Omni Fixo is pretty amazing. And then just, yeah, the fundamentals of soldering. Flux the joint, move the work to a place where it's comfortable. Your offhand holds the work, holds the wire, holds the whatever. Your right hand just applies heat. You can't use your right hand and the tip of the soldering iron, your strong hand, I should say. You can't use that to hold the wire because when you come off the wire, it's going to move. You got to use your offhand to keep the wire in the exact right spot or to remove the wire. Kelvin says, I like the twang sound of the soldering iron being reholstered. That twang, my youth had that twang sound. My youth had a soundtrack of that. When it was time for me to get a proper soldering iron, I asked my dad, hey, what soldering iron did you have? And he said, Weller. And so that's the soldering iron that I bought because I have very fond memories of my dad fixing shit in the basement, holstering and reholstering the soldering iron and it having that exact sound. And so, yeah, Weller makes great soldering irons. Hacko makes soldering irons that are just as good and they're a little bit less expensive. But this Weller 1010 was maybe like, I don't know, 20-30 bucks more than the same Hacko. And it's great. It's not fancy. It's a little fancy, but it's not insane. There's no reason to spend more than $100 on a soldering iron. They all do basically the same thing, and they all do a really good job. As long as it's not like 10 bucks. The super, you got to spend more than like 50 bucks. James Thomas says, so do you have thoughts on JB's new 3-inch kit? I didn't know he had one. Is it on GetFPV? How do I find it? I wonder if I could just Google it. Joshua Bardwell 3-inch. Will that find it? Ah, QAVS Mini. Oh, well, no, that's just the... I assume that it's built on the QAVS Mini. I tested that frame eons ago. I'm not seeing it. Wait, is this it? No, this is the sub 250 page that I did for him. Where is it? Oh, okay. It's not for sale yet. He's working on the videos. Ah, okay. What frame is it? All right, people. Let's fly a couple of batteries and compare a couple different formulas in TinyWhoop. Let's take weights first. I think these are about the same weight. The Beta FPV rig might be a little bit lighter. This is the Beta FPV Air 65 Champion Edition. And it is 17.4 grams. It's got the CO3 camera in it. This is my full tilt Mobula 6 2024 build. It is 17.15 grams. So as near as makes no difference, like 0.2 of a gram difference between these two things. Beta FPV 0702 30,000 kV motors. Happy Model 0702 40,000 kV motors. This is on the... Which props are these? These are the 1.2 by 0.9s. They are indeed. HQ Tri-Blade 1.2 by 0.9 by 3. Some of my favorite propellers. I have bell swapped these 40,000 kV Happy Model We Bleed motors. And so now they have 1.5 millimeter motor shafts. The only propellers at the moment for them are the old school Gemfan 1210s. I like these propellers on this rig a lot better, but this rig is basically indestructible with these 1.5 millimeter motor shafts, which is pretty cool. Mobula 6 2024 version 1 AIO that's direct soldered. Runcam Nano 3 conversion with the old school Mobula 6 canopy. Micro V antenna on this guy. Ultra lightweight antenna, converted whip antenna on the Air 65 race. Turn off, scale. Turn off. We're going to be running these on 260 mAh batteries. And you're probably going to see a humongous difference in runtime. But we'll see. Maybe it won't be as big as expected. All right, let's do the... You're also going to see a huge difference in the cameras. The CO3 camera on the Beta FPV rig should look quite a bit better than the old school Runcam Nano 3, but the Runcam Nano 3 is indestructible and super lightweight. It's not actually indestructible. Air 65 Champion Edition first. Come on. Get in there. What's happening? Okay, I'm pushing as hard as I can, and the battery won't go in. What's the deal? Okay, I don't know. That was weird. CO3 camera up first. Let me not Stevie Wonder this. Away we go. Air 65 Champion. Good Lord, this thing has power. Oh, hey! Off to a bad start. There he is. Put a jacket on him because he was just being fucking tolerable last night. Let's go upstairs for a minute. Flex this thing's muscles or not. It's too dark. That's alright. The champion. This is the champion edition motors are the 30,000 kV. Oh, for fuck's sake! That's right. I remember these beta FP rigs do this a lot. Where's it at, buddy? Well, this is not the Matrix AIO. This is the... I don't think this is the... Yeah, this is the regular Air 65 AIO, and this is one of the main issues with it. Come on now. Don't do that to me. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Ugh. I have multiples that do that, though. What's really annoying is it wipes out the runtime, so I have no idea what the runtime is on this. Wow, I'm getting low battery already. Oh my god, what the hell is happening? Oh, you fart. Where is it? Where is it? What? Oh. There it is. Okay. Me so hungry, this quad says. A lot of up tilt on this beta FPV canopy too. Land now already. Holy shit. It's from that big throttle blip that I did. Wow. Big power. Get it together! Little railgun. So, I don't know what runtime we were at before it went full rainbow, but there you go. Let's do another battery on this one. This is not... neither one of these rigs are a good match for these 260 mAh batteries. You would want to be running the 300 mAh batteries on rigs with motors this powerful. But, you know. I've not killed any CO3 cameras yet, no. Fuck! Just trying to get adjusted to it a little bit here. Alright, we're good. We're adjusted. Oh my god. No, we're not. Ah! Ooh! Wow. Crash recovery. Hooking a brother up! No! I couldn't decide whether to go left or right, so I went right in the middle. Hey! What you doing, buddy? Hey! Oh! Getting dirty with the little tiny newbie drone gates. Ah, shit. Lucky. Oh, I should have kept that going. Aye. Ow. Oh, stop it. Oh, boy. This thing has power to weight in spades. Oh, come on now. Don't be like that. It hasn't gone full rainbow again. That's nice. Ah! No! No! I think the camera is now not level anymore. Let's check it. Yep. Yep. Camera has come out of rotation yet again. It's not that bad, but I can really feel it. Like I noticed it when I did that Matty flip. Like I had the Matty flip lined up perfectly, and then it wasn't perfect at all because the camera has twisted in the mount, which is absolutely maddening. Oh my god. I'm going to do one more battery real quick. 2 minutes and 23. Let me see if I can fix the camera. Hold on. So the camera is off. Can I feel the direction that it's off? Yeah, it feels like it's off in this direction. Wait, let me just look. Yep, I can see it. Okay. That should be a little bit better. Yeah, that should be a little bit better. All right. I keep forgetting to put E6000 on these to keep them from rotating. Because, like, I'm thinking about it right now, but I gotta fly it again. And I also, like, don't necessarily know if the camera is dead center. So, at the end of this battery, I would like to check it. You know what? Yeah. No, I'll wait till the end of this battery. Don't start beeping goggles, you dirty rat hose. Come on, don't. Why? I just fucking charged this goddamn battery. Oh my god, Fat Shark, you make some good goggles, but boy, the worst goggle batteries on earth. Do I have another one? I'm gonna rob it out of the HD0 goggles. Hold on. Oh shit, this thing's just sitting here plugged in. That's not good. Oh boy. Alright, go, go, go. It doesn't look like the camera's level. Hold on, let me check it. Oh, it's worse than before. Maybe not. No, yeah, it's still not right. This is what, like, every time I go to add E6000, I'm like, oh, but I don't know if the camera is perfectly straight or not. Let me just wait. And then I wait. I think that's it now. I think that's now centered. Let's go check it. Still not quite right. Pretty good though, it's close enough. And now it's fucked up again. Ready? Let's see. Let's see if that crashed. Yep, I can already see it. It's already, it's off. See it? One crash and it knocks it out. Oh, no. Oh, I went... There's a chance that I went inside the bass drum and then came back out. That's absolutely outrageous. Oh, God, no. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm somewhere dark and scary. Oh, God. Oh, my God. What was that? Whoa! Didn't need to disarm there. Oh, wow, that's stopping power. Oh, no! And then I just fucking bump into the couch like an asshole. Oh, you dirty hoe. No! Oh, man, this is, oh, God. Oh, my God, no. Yeah, no, that's somewhere absolutely not recoverable. It's in a box, actually. Oh, get out of there. Okay, I think we're at the end of the battery. I'm going to go try to get the camera level, and then I am going to put E6000 on this. So, let's see. Is that level now? Nope, now it's off. Wow, it just spins in there so easy, and I have the screw as tight as it'll go. All right, I think that's level now. Let's go see. We'll not do a runtime comparison. Nah, not quite level still. I need to rotate it to the left a little bit. Yeah, I can see it. So I just need to go like that. Problem is, like, the canopy wobbles around like this. And so you can't just line the camera up with the canopy. You have to line the camera up with the AIO, which is really difficult. Oh, I made it worse. Oh my God, it's way worse. See what I mean? It's so much worse. This sucks, dude. God damn, Beta FPV. Are you kidding me with this? Like, oh yeah, I can visibly see how off it is. All right, so that should be a lot better. The fucking goggles won't stay on my head. All right, this should be a lot better. Let's check it. Yeah, it's much better. All right, that's about as good as it's going to get. So I'm going to just hammer this thing with E6000 real quick so that this never happens again. I'm actually going to use E7000 because it's black and you won't be able to see it. And so here's what I do. I've only managed to do this with one other one. I just run a little bead right here, right at the joint between the camera and the banana hammock canopy. So I'm not going to be able to show you guys this, but just right in here. Squeezy, squeezy, just a little blob. And then I'm going to do it on the other side as well. All right, there we go. And then on the other side, same deal. And it's just keeping it from like rotating, so it doesn't have to be much. There we go. All right, cool. So one more. That's two now. Two of these that won't have that issue anymore. What still annoys me though, even doing that, what still annoys me is that I don't know if that's actually level. Like, Happy Model's system of using cameras that have screw holes in the corners and then having the canopy have screw holes, it's molded so that it's going to be like good to go, you know what I mean? Like, there is no guesswork. There is no like, oh, it's twisted a little bit before I do this, you know what I'm saying? I like that a lot better. But hey, the CO3 camera is awesome. It's just heavy. The CO3 camera is great, but it's heavy, so you have to run a really light camera mount, or otherwise you've got a whole bunch of weight on that thing. And so a super lightweight mount is going to have its own little issues. Here's the Happy Model Mobula 6 2024. fully upgraded with 40,000 kV 0702 Happy Model motors. With, okay, great start. 1210 bi-blades. Wow. What the f... Can't do anything. So these 1210 props are heavier and less pitchy. These motors maybe have a little bit more power, but the big thing that's getting me right now is getting used to the response time difference here. And I'm starting to get it, as you can see. Today, oh God! Oh, Billy. Who's Billy? No! Oh God, no! Didn't need to disarm. Oh God, I had 0 forward momentum. I thought I could do the thing. Okay, get out of here. No! Oh great, the phone's gonna just sit here and fucking quack until I completely lose my mind. Big difference between these two, man. Mainly in the propellers. These old school bi-blades are super durable. But man, the newer HQ props are so much lighter. Yeah, see, look, the horizon's level. No guesswork. Oh, Christ. Oh, boy. Come on now. Might have the tune a little overactive on it. I cannot believe how much lazier this feels with these propellers. Runtime's about the same. Man, we need more 1.5mm shaft, 1.2-inch props. These motor bells are just amazing. Yeah, you're never gonna get a robot lady here. I can promise you that. Never, ever, ever. Islander FPV says, have you added we got that. Sir Dragston says the camera cables are too long on the CO3 camera, so they can touch a solder pad. Why does that matter? Kelvin asking about Sky Zone and HD0 expansion module. Hopefully somebody in chat talked about that, because I have no idea. Alright, caught up. Alright, I'm a little bit more adjusted. Let's see what's what here. Again, neither one of these rigs are a good match for these little 260 mAh batteries. But these are the batteries that I have charged, so... Oh God, we shall run them. No, no, no! The fan almost ate me. Didn't quite get me, though. Little booze room! This is the rig with the good antenna. Oh, for fuck's sake. This is the rig with the good antenna. Oh. Hey, we made it. Bunch of big power shenanigans upstairs. Oh, I wonder if I can do that dive in the side here. Oh, what? I've never tried that before. That's kind of nice. Come in like this. That's there's a lot going on to try to get out of there. Oh, for fuck's sake. What is happening here? Get it, Teddy. Get it. Hey! Easy. Easy does it. Oh, yeah, that was smooth around the TV. See if I can do it the other way. Yeah! Teddy! Oh my god. Full throttle blast is just delight. Fuck you. Delight, fuck you. That's a new one. No! Get out of there. Yes. Fuck. Get it. Okay, not happening. Wow, the newer propellers are way better. Way, way, way better. You can even see it in the runtime. Jesus. These are on the much more efficient motors, but the props are just old. This is an older propeller. Super. Like, I've noticed this before, but man, I've been only flying the HQ Ultralight props lately, and it's just like really jumping out at me. Yeah, there are 1208s, but those are even worse than these. Those props are terrible. Whoa. Whoa. Ah! Fucking hang time. Oh god, what am I doing? Ugh! It is so hard to get out of that dive. God damn it. Just 1,000 things in the way. Oh my god, that was ridiculous. That was just luck. Look at all these magnets. Look at all these magnets. Look at them all. There's just such a delay. Like the when I stab the throttle and when I get the thrust that I'm expecting, there's just a much bigger delay. That was full throttle into the wall there. I just got frustrated in the middle of that crash and just went full throttle just to see what would happen. Oh my god. It's hard. Oh, and there goes the fucking Canon software. Whoo, boy. Yeah, we need some HQ ultralights with a 1.5mm shaft. Badly. Oh my god, what the fuck was that? Ah! Hey, landed in my own bag. Oh, it just made it through there. Good enough. That wasn't terrible. Really short runtime on that one. Some of these 260 mAh batteries are hammered ass. That was probably one of the ones that's hammered. Oh shit, the AIO popped out of the front. Oh wow, the front and the side. Oh, that was from that hard hit. Oh, I broke the frame. Okay. Wait, no, I didn't. The screw just popped out. Wow. Damage from the... 2 of the screws popped out. What the hell? I might have broken the frame. It was almost certainly that full throttle hit. which is fine. Man, tough to fly. I love having these 1.5mm motor shafts, but boy, having to run these props is frustrating to fly. Ooh, I gotta fix this thing. That's I think I might need to swap the frame out. This is a light AF frame. Frame might be okay. I can't believe it spit two of these. I can't believe it spit two of these screws out though. Oh wow, YouTube shot the bed again. Thanks for taking care of your streamers, YouTube. You really make it impossible for us to do our jobs and make you more money. Very strange business model. Hey, we're going to hire a bunch of employees and then we're going to just make it impossible for them to do anything. Although, that sounds a lot like just corporate America. So, there's that. Hold on, let me see if I broke these posts or if the screws just fell out. Hold up, let's see. Oh yeah, no, I ripped these posts off. Well, shit, I don't know. I'm not gonna turn the camera back on. I don't have the patience for it. You guys can just look at my desktop. Yeah, no, it ripped two of the posts out of the frame. That's annoying. Oh well. More repairs needed. I wonder where those screws are. Probably out in the hallway somewhere. All right, friends, thanks for hanging. Here's a little bit more of the 2-inch rig blasting around outside the front of the house. Go get you whoever's somebody else is streaming. Tell them Ciotti sent you. Love you, bye. I'll see you guys on Sunday. Be good. Have fun. See you then.